struggle for women's rights has continued right from our freedom struggle, even before that. But 1980s was really a landmark time when India kind of did a change. For the first time, we had the autonomous women's movement asking for women's rights. And while that was happening, that's when, the whole idea of celebrating March 8th. But 40 years later, we're still celebrating that one day. And given that our Constitution of India has guaranteed us equality and liberty and right to life, why are we still having to fight so hard?
My name is Veronica, and I'm founder of the Right to be Mother Global Initiative, which aims to fight against anachronistic violations of human rights in the big four beauty pageants: Miss Universe, Miss World, Miss International, and Miss Earth. In 2018, when I was stripped of the Miss Ukraine World title, when I had a young son, I was then turned into object of public humiliation. One of the Miss Ukraine jury said, she had a child at the age of 19 and then divorced. I believe it's wrong to make such a person a role model. My initial reaction to this was just hide, to run away, to escape, to start my life again from scratch. And if I were alone, I would do exactly that. But these accusations honored not only me, but also tens of thousands of women who face discrimination by these outdated rules. 4 years of this fighting, I thought, should it be enough reason to give up? Because it was a very hard journey, and I almost thought that it's impossible to change rules of such a big pageant. Everything changed in 2022 when I met Andrea Quiroga, a young mother just like me who was denied participation in the Miss California pageant. Together with legendary women's rights defender Gloria Allred, we approached the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing to file a complaint and conduct an investigation to eliminate discriminatory practices against women. And on March 9, 2022, we held a press conference, announced the beginning of our legal challenge. In August 2022, the first of the Big Four beauty pageants, Miss Universe, which includes Miss California and Miss USA pageants, removed its discriminatory requirements for participants.
Being a woman in the fashion industry has allowed me to witness firsthand the unifying power of women and fashion. It's a world where creativity, resilience, and empowerment converge, creating a space for us to express ourselves, challenge norms, and drive change. One of the most defining moments of my career was that year. Daring to challenge the standard measurements dictated by the modeling world, I gained 30 kilos. I still continue to work as a model, proving that beauty and talent are not confined to specific sizes.
My journey has been well known. I started playing cricket way back when I was in school, and it was the time when hardly any women came out to play. I used to stay in a railway colony in Colaba, Badwa Park, where every Saturday, Sunday it used to be tennis ball cricket. It used to be 10 boys and me as the only girl. My sister later joined me and we both played together for India later. But it's been a long journey. We've had rough times. As the official Indian team, we've traveled unreserved in trains. We've slept near the toilets. We've slept in waiting rooms on the station. We hardly got to play on good grounds, And when we went abroad also, we never ever got a chance to stay in five-star hotels. It used to be either university campuses or some hostels or something like that. And in fact, in 1991, when we went to Australia to play the World Cup, each girl had to pay 10,000 rupees to play for India. So that was the way. Today, girls are playing and getting paid, but we paid and played. Three years that I was there in the committee, I enjoyed my stint and I saw to it that women's cricket got their due, the cricketers as well as the game. 2017 was a turning point also because the women entered the final of the World Cup at Lord's. It was a sellout. First time Lord's was full for a women's match. And that gave me the inspiration to really put everything on the table and see to it that the women got their due. In fact, for entering the final, I saw to it that they got a cash award of 50 lakhs each. And I was really taken aback because the reaction I got from some of the office bearers then was that how can you just entering the final, you give an award. I said, yeah, it's an achievement. We've never entered a final. And for a women's team we played so many World Cups, but we've never entered the final. So what if they win the final? I said, we'll double it. There's no issue for that. There were other issues, the one-time benefit, pension, which was only for the male cricketers. I saw to it that we brought it into for women's cricket also, one-time benefit for all the past cricketers who have played for India, even if it's one test match. 2018 was the time when I initiated an exhibition match during the playoffs on the ground of IPL, where foreign players were called, and we had two teams. And we saw to it that we played this game, and it was a hit. Next year, we had three teams. Yes, during COA time, I saw to it that they got their business class travel, they stayed in five-star hotels, the same, pay parity, the daily allowances were same. Everything went on smoothly. And I'm glad that nothing has changed. And in fact, the match fees now, BCCI has brought it at the same level as the men. There is a lot of money now in women's cricket. People can make it as a career. You know, parents should think of their daughters coming out to play because it's a paying game now.
Many women in their lifetime will be the victims of injustice. Some will become survivors, some will become fighters for change. The reason you often see me fighting against powerful men who I contend have hurt women and girls is because it's really a kind of a teaching moment, not only to the men, but also to the women that we represent and millions that we do not represent, to show them that you do not have to be afraid of powerful men and what they can do to your life. And women do have the power under the law in many countries, for example, the United States and many states, to seek justice, not only as victims in a criminal case, but frankly, more often, even in civil cases, to seek accountability and to seek compensation from the men who have hurt them. The fact that those men are rich and powerful and famous does not give them any more rights to hurt women than anybody else has. When one woman is empowered, it has a ripple effect on her family, including her children, even if they don't know why that transportation came about.
My mother was a victim of domestic violence, and I have seen domestic violence at very close quarters. And I think people, when we talk about domestic violence, it almost feels like, yeah, it happens. But I don't think we internalize it to realize how disruptive it can be for the family. In a country like ours, community is so strong. The idea that family is your only security. There is no other security. We do have a public system which is supposed to provide for every citizen. So we do have shelters like the West. And we do have, various other provisions that a woman could survive. But you will never be able to make that step, make that leap, because there will be 10,000 people pulling you back, telling you why you should save this family, even at the cost of your life, at the cost of your children, at the cost of being abused in a manner so brutal, so brutal, and yet covering it up so that your neighbor doesn't know, your family doesn't know, nobody should know that this violence is happening. How do we help these victims through this journey? Today, everyone wants to call them survivors, and I completely don't agree with it. You are not a survivor because you got abused. You become a survivor when you fight, when you decide to do something, when you make that leap where you are at least on the other side to be able to cope with your life. The way victims come to us, they are battered, they are bruised, they have nowhere to go. How can you call them a survivor? After you become a survivor, then you become a change maker. And I think, that is when you can see that somebody who has gone through that journey is actually saying that I will do this for other people. And at Majlis, we've had so many women who have gone on to help other women in their community to stand up on certain issues, to fight for certain rights. We have to believe in us being women. I think somewhere we are losing the purpose, where we are constantly wanting an equal, where we may lose our own identities. And I think we need to retain that in the terms that we use, in the way that we be. We're constantly concentrating on how we want to be equal to be men, rather than saying we are unique and we are there in our own capacity in that uniqueness. And how do we bring that so that we can together make this a fair world, an equal world? It's not a fight ever between men and women. It's a fight against patriarchy, and both men and women have to constantly be at watch of how patriarchy is affecting our lives. So with that note, thank you so much, and have a really great evening.